Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fraud Fighters Virtual Summit, Product Demo Unit 21 101 on fraud. Let's jump into it. On the agenda today, we will cover a quick introduction to Unit 21, the size of the problem, what do we offer, Unit 21 takes fraud from detection to prevention, and a quick product overview. At Unit 21, we are on a mission to stop bad actors and to deliver justice and safety to the world by proactively mitigating risk tied to fraud, money laundering, and other financial crimes. We work with some of the leading fintechs spanning payment companies, banking as a service, crypto, and marketplaces, as well as leading banks and credit unions across the world. My name is Alex Fevosovich. I'm the head of fraud risk here at Unit 21. I'm a fraud prevention practitioner with 15 years of experience. I held several positions in fraud operations, analytics, consulting, building, and developing fraud strategies. Unit 21 is a risk and compliance infrastructure. We empower your team to proactively combat financial crime and make informed decisions throughout the customer lifecycle. Configurable to your organization's unique risk profile, Unit 21 unifies data silos into a comprehensive end-to-end solution that helps you monitor transactions and manage cases for your organization all in one place. Whether you're looking for a fraud solution, an AML solution, or both, we have a single platform for transaction monitoring, real-time monitoring, case management, fraud, and consortium. Since 2018, we've empowered fintechs and financial institutions to more accurately detect fraud, generally increase efficiency in filings, significantly decrease alert handling time. Lastly, number-wise, we raised close to $100 million from investors like Google, Tiger Global, and other leading VC companies. We quite often hear that fraud is scaling and constantly growing, but how big of a problem fraud actually is? In 2023, the FTC had 2.6 million fraud reports, with over 10 billion in reported fraud losses. Most prevalent reports are around identity theft and imposter scams. But as you can see on the charts, fraud of all types is trending across all payment rails, whether it's payment cards, ACH, checks, real-time payments, P2P transactions, fraud is scaling. When we say infrastructure, what do we really mean? With Unit 21, our core offering is around real-time monitoring that allows you to get immediate notification and block suspicious transactions or activity before they are authorized. Reducing false positive, allowing you to create, test, backtest on historical data, and launch new rules whether in production or in shadow mode within minutes. Investigation and recovery. Have all the relevant data available to the analyst to conduct their investigation, efficiently create and handle cases. The reaction cycle is fundamental to your financial crime unit. The speed and quality of your reaction is what turns detection into prevention. And our automation capabilities turn unnecessary friction into positive customer experience. So you can take automatic action or events and connect them via webhooks from Unit 21 to your backend system. You can easily write, test, and deploy rules within minutes, whether you have historical data or not. And you can allow lists of good customers to operate with less friction by utilizing different capabilities of our rules and alerts. In the same way, you can create watch lists for bad users or bad devices or anything pretty much you want to watch, and make sure that when you have an indication of a bad user or a bad device, you will know how to block it in a timely manner. Customer lifecycle analysis and dynamic models. Your fraud prevention efforts begin with onboarding, but they don't end there. Financial institutions who are spearing the fight against fraud have one thing in common. They fully utilized all the available data and making sure they see the full 360-degree views of their users. And now I will showcase some of the tools and features that we offer. As you can see on my screen, when you log in into Unit21 as your platform, you will have a side panel that allows you to control and navigate through all the features and tools that are available for you as an analyst. Today, we will focus on the detection models. Detection models is the place within the platform where we go to create, test, and deploy rules. If you go to the right side of the screen and click on the blue button that says create a new rule, you will see three different options available to you, which I will cover today. Create dynamic rules, create scenario rules, and create real-time rules. Let's start with scenario rules. Scenario rules is the core offering of Unit21. Those are out-of-the-box rules that were pre-built by our team that you can immediately use and deploy. We have several different categories of rules to make it easy for you to search and find what are you looking for. So for example, if you look for anomaly detection, if you want to build your, for example, dormant policy or dormant activity, you can easily deploy a rule that will offer you both to define the dormancy period, but also to define the reactivation event that ends the dormancy period. You can use rules for historical deviation. You can create rules for newly seen activity. If you want to maybe detect if a user uses a device for the first time, or maybe a user transacts with a payee for the very first time. We have rules that we call lists. Here you can always refer to match lists. So for example, if I have manually managed a list of known bad devices, I know that I have users who I identified as fraudsters who using the same devices over and over again. I can create a match list and then refer to those match lists within the rules. If you're a member of our fraud consortium, which holds more than 55 financial institutions today and almost 40 million US adult entities, you can refer to the consortium within the rules and make sure that whenever one of your users is matched with a hit of a fraudulent users from the consortium, you will get alerted for that. We have rules around statistics and around cardinality, which more focus around velocity and allow you to deploy different rules that will alert on suspicious or out of pattern activity that might indicate high risk for specific users. We also have dedicated rules to address check fraud, whether it's how the check is being deposited, whether the check is out of range, maybe we have a missing number of check, or we investigate a duplicate check, and also dark web monitoring, which I will cover in a few minutes. Sometimes you need to be more sophisticated with the rules that you deploy, especially when you have a lot of data and you want to make sure you're utilizing different aspects of that data and being more surgical around what you want to detect. A great way to achieve that is by using our dynamic model builder. Now, a dynamic model builder is a more complex rule engine, but basically it allows you to be very, very specific about what you want to detect. With the dynamic model builder, you can build variables on any data element that you're already sending into Unit21. It can be on the level of a transaction, it can be on a non-transactional event, or it can be something related directly to the entity or the user. You can deploy different conditions using different formulas and different functions to make sure that whatever calculation that makes sense for you from risk perspective is being represented accurately within the rule. And last and final is the real-time rules scenario. Those rules are specifically designed to be part of the authorization flow or directly interact with your backend system. So for example, if you decide to use Unit21 to monitor your credit card or debit card transactions, we can see it part of your authorization flow and give you a response within 250 milliseconds whether you should approve or decline a certain transaction. If you want to use Unit21 to monitor non-transactional risk, you can do that as well with real-time rules. Earlier, I mentioned match lists. Let's go to the match list tab. Here you can see I have different lists that I manage, and those lists can be either for bad users or devices or data elements that I want to block or monitor, or it can be used also as whitelist and allow list. For the example now, I will open a list that we call banned devices. And banned devices, as simple as it sounds, I have here a list of devices that I know are associated with bad users. And I want to make sure that whenever I see this device, I want to allow it to log into my platform. So I have a match list here. What I can do is I can go back to the detection models, create a real-time rule, and say I want to flag an action. Let's call it login test. And as you can see, it's very straightforward. I can say flag an action when I have a specific type. Let's call it a login event. And when I look at this login event, I want to understand from which device this login event is happening right now to my platform. And if a device is a known bad device, I would like to prevent that. So here I will use custom data field as a device. And custom data field could be anything you would like to send us. I will select the match list, banned devices, and that's it. So basically, if the login session that I'm monitoring right now is happening from a device that is on the list that I created earlier, we can now have a response within 250 milliseconds back to your backend system to tell you, hey, do not approve this login, so you can take action and actually block the potentially high-risk login session from happening. Let's go back to the scenario models. Now I want to show you a scenario that we call graph-based rules. A graph-based rules is a visual representation of entities that has some type of correlation that maybe they shouldn't have. In the example right here, I can say, I want to create an alert whenever I have 4 or more users who are sharing the same geolocation. But maybe I don't want to limit that to only geolocation. I want to say an IP address or client fingerprint. As you can see, the graph-based rules is very flexible, and it allows you to quickly identify fraud rings. So basically, when you have a group of users that not supposed to be related to each other, graph-based rules is the fastest and easiest way for you to detect potential clusters. Now, as you can see here, I deployed an example that's saying, find me cases where I have more than one user who share geolocation, IP address, and a client fingerprint. And here is some examples of alert of how this might look like. And you can see who are the people that are being flagged. and any other relevant data that might help me analyze and understand whether or not I'm looking at a potential fraud ring or just to users who by chance have elements of data that are correlated. Now I want to show you how alerts look like within Unit21. So here an example of alert that we generated for a potential fraudulent check that was over $5,000. Now, I told you earlier that our mission is to help the agent to make the best decision in the shortest amount of time. And we put a lot of thoughts into how to view and how to showcase all the relevant data to the engine in the alert views. So a typical alert view looks something like this. You will have the summary where you will be able to see who is being alerted. So what entity, what user is being alerted, understand what type of user that is. It might be a consumer, it might be a business. You'll have all the relevant status. So whether or not this alert is open and what is the disposition that's been taken or not taken yet. The description that tells you why it was flagged. As you scroll down into the alert page, you will have our AI copilot. The AI copilot basically learns how the agents investigate and disposition different alerts and make suggestions based on their works. The AI copilot here is not to replace the agent. We're not seeking to do that. But the AI copilot should allow the agent to make investigation much faster and get the insights that usually will take several minutes to get by doing the investigation to the agent screen right up front. Now you can have here different tabs. You can see all the past activity, all the past alerts that were generated for that entity. If you have an investigation checklist and you want to make sure that the agents go through specific tasks and check for specific things, you can have it deployed and redefined here and make sure that before the alert is being dispositioned, the agent will actually go and check everything they need to do. In the transaction analysis, you can see how this user has been transacting. Network analysis will help us understand how this user transacting with other entities on the platform and how they're sending and receiving money. And you can play with it and see if those things make sense. Consortium hits. So if this user has been flagged by other members of the consortium, you will see it here. So for this example, we know that this user is actually a user of 4 additional members of the consortium. So 4 financial institutions are working with the same end user. As you can see, it was registered with the fintech back in 2015. It has a neobanking account from late 2019, and it works also with some type of payment companies since September 2020. It was never blocked by any other of the members of the consortium for this example. If we have any documents that we want to see, for example, as we want to look at the check that was deposited, we can look here. And what you will have to do in order to see that is once you receive the image from your RDC vendor, the vendor that you use to capture the check, the image of the check, you will have to send it to Unit21. Another alert I want to show you today is our dark web monitoring alerts. Now, dark web monitoring is a new feature that we just announced. And what it do is it scrapes Telegram channels and look for checks that are being stolen and sold online. So if you are part of this data orchestration offer, whenever we see a check that belongs to your financial institution, we will be able to flag it to you and say, here is a check that's been stolen from one of your end users, one of your customers. It is now being sold online. It's a great way. It's a great way for you both to prevent losses and also let your customer know that his check was stolen and now is being sold online. Here is an example of a check that we found from one of the Telegram channels. So this is all what I had in terms of demo for you today. Now, when you choose Unit21, you know you're in a good company. Here on the screen, you can see some quotes from our existing customers. You can see that for some, we help to reduce fraud losses by 50%. For others, it's about how we reduce the investigation times and improve efficiency. And for others, it can be something as how do we help them to reduce false positives and actually making sure that the rules are much more efficient. And this is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this demo and hope to see you next time. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for joining our demo showcase. There are 11 more Unit21 demos you can dive into while attending Fraud Fighters Virtual Summit today, so please do so. Alternatively, if you're ready to learn more about Unit21 from one of our fraud and AML practitioners, you can simply scan the QR code on the left and request a personalized demo. And last but not least, I'm excited to share that we are in the midst of data gathering for our third annual State of Fraud and AML report. We're seeking to make this research the most informative findings yet, but we're unable to uncover and publish these insights without your contribution. Scan the QR code on the right to fill out the survey. It'll take no more than 10 minutes and it'll uncover invaluable industry trends and insights so we can all better combat risk and compliance together. Thanks so much for contributing to our research.